So this spreadsheet is going to deal with things like SumIf and AverageIf, CountIf, that sort of thing. It's a simple spreadsheet. We've got the list of here with some of the names of fruit that we sell, how much per pound we're selling it for. Here we're going to enter the name of the fruit. It's going to work out the unit cost. We're going to enter how many pounds have been sold, and it's going to work out the total cost for us. Now, rather than having to write in grapes every time, it would be a lot easier if we could just select it from a list. You can do that by doing this data validation. So you select your cell here, or range of cells. So we're doing it for 10-ish cells there. And we go to data validation. What we want to do is to say there's a list, and the list is coming from a certain range, and we're going to say the range is for these cells here. We could put an input message in, or we could say something like title input your select your fruit from here, but we'll just leave it blank for now, and something if there's an error that's not on the list, but we'll leave that blank as well. And we say OK. So now you find for any one of these selected cells in that range of 10 that we've got the list of fruit that's available. So if we choose item 1, we can say grapes. Okay. Now the unit cost, we can look it up. We can use VLOOKUP to look up the unit cost for the grapes. So what we want to do here in this cell here is we want to go to formulas, insert formula, and find the VLOOKUP formula there. It's either going to be in this list of recently used ones, or you're going to have to go and find it. And you can find it by sort of selecting all and writing in VLOOKUP. If you double click on it, you get this helpful little dialog box, which you may have seen before. The lookup value is whatever's in that cell. Okay, and we're going to look it up in this table here, and you'll notice that I've not selected the titles, just the contents. Okay, and we're going to look up column 2. The reason for that is we're saying I want the unit cost where you find grapes. So unit grapes is in column 1, and unit cost is in column 2. So you want to return the value from column 2, and you want to put a 0 in here because it's going to be an exact match. And you just choose OK. Okay, there you go. Now one of the things that you want to do is to highlight you want to highlight the table that you've selected, okay, which is the I3 to J6, and just F4 it. Just go F4, and you see it now goes $, $I, $3, $J, $6. It comes up with the same result, but it means that those values are absolute. So when we pull this down to wherever we went to 12, I think it was, it now says it keeps the same value, as you can see, for the table. So it's always looking up in the table, but it changes the value here. This time it's looking in C8. Now there isn't anything in C8, so we can't select anything, but we can come here and we can pull this down and say we're going to have apples, and it comes back with $1.59 for apples, and this one we can say it's bananas, and it comes back with the right price. We can go to any one of these and it will come back with the correct price. So we're going to go oranges again, and then oranges again, and then grapes again, and then grapes again, and then we'll choose oranges, and then we'll have bananas. Okay, so there we are, the list. Now what we've noticed here is this is not in a currency format, so we can just highlight the whole lot, right click, and then we can just go and choose a currency from this pop-up here, and then formats it correctly. Now pounds sold, we're going to leave it so that we can actually type it in, because it's quite a big variable. So if we say we bought £5 of grapes because we're grape fans, we can say then that the total cost that we spent for grapes is equal to 5, whatever's in that column, multiplied by whatever's in that column. And that's how much it costs. And this automatically defaults to a currency because it's related to this column here, so you don't have to do anything about it. So if we say we're going to have we sold £5 of oranges, and then we sold £7 of oranges, and then we sold another £3 of oranges, and then £2 of grapes, and £5 of grapes again, and then 4.5 of oranges, and then £2 of bananas, £2 of bananas, and £3 of apples. Okay, and then we could just come up here and pull this down, and it will do the calculation for all of those. Okay, so what we've done here is just constructed this little table to complete based on the sales that we've made of the fruit. And what we want to do is produce a count of how many sales of each of the fruits have been made, the average weight that's been sold, and the total that's been sold for each of the fruits. Now we could do that with a subtotal or something like that in there, but we've just got it as a separate table for this. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, we go up and we use a formula. So we insert the function and we look for CountIf. Again, you'll have to look it up if it's not visible. So I double click on that and I get a range and a criteria. So my range is this range of fruit here that we've sold. And my criteria is if it equals that cell there. I can check OK, and it says I've sold 3 lots of grapes. 1, 2, 3. It's correct. And because of the way I've designed this, we can just pull this down and it will complete the rest of it, because it's when you pull it down, it compares with the cell to the left. Okay, so that's how you do the CountIf. So what it's saying is count it if it's grapes, count it if it's apples, count it if it's oranges, count it if it's bananas. Okay, so now we want to work out the average weight of each of the fruits that have been sold. So again, we click in this square, in this cell, and we go up to the function, and this time we insert AverageIf. There's a theme here. We've done CountIf and AverageIf. So we double click on that, and this dialog box opens up. It has an extra box in it this time, and I'll explain that in a second. So the range that we're looking at again is this range here with the names of the fruit in. The criteria is what we're matching it against, so it's going to be grapes in this particular case. And the average range this time is what we want to get the average of. We have to have some numbers to find an average, and in this particular case it's the weight. I choose OK, and you see that it says we've sold on average to each customer 4 pounds of grapes. Now, is that right? Let's go and have a look. Well, we've sold 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 5 is 12, and we've sold 3 bunches of grapes, so the average weight is 12 divided by 3, which is 4 pounds. And again, we can just pull that down. And if we wanted to, because that's not a precise, well, it's too precise, we don't want to know that, we want to say have just one decimal place, we can highlight that, and we can go and do format cells, and we can choose a number, and then we can just say it's 1 decimal place. Okay, so that's done. Now finally, what we want to do is to total, to find the total sales for grapes, the total sales for apples, etc. And that's going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be a SumIf. You see, we've done the CountIf, the AverageIf. This is the SumIf. and again you go up to the functions. Now this one I can't see it, so I would choose all, and right over this text I'd write SumIf, and you can see once I've hit the go it will appear there, and I just click on it, double click on it, we get the dialog box. Again, we've got 3 boxes here to fill in. Same principle as for the average column. We need the range, which is going to be the fruit, different types thereof that we've sold, the criteria, which is going to be that column there, or that cell there, and the sum range is what do we want to add up? Well, we want to add up the total costs in this column here, and we click OK, and it says we've sold $14.76 worth of grapes. Is that correct? Well, let's have a look then. We've sold, well, let's choose one that's apples, just to it's easier because we don't have to do it adding up, and then we have it there, 477. Okay, so again we need to highlight that, right click it, turn it into a currency. Okay, and now what we can do with this is that we can do a total here and a total for that column. Go to home, come up to the sigma, and it adds up both of those columns. Again, we can have to come here and make that a currency. And so it looks like we've sold $66.23 of food. And we can check that by adding up those columns up as well. So it should, in theory, come back to the same total. And it doesn't. So why doesn't it do it? Well, I think the answer lies, if we have a look here, in the fact that we haven't used absolute values. Here with SumIf C3 to C12, so that would be C3 here to C12 there, those items there. If we look at the next one down, it's C4 to C13 and F4 to F13. So it's slipping down the whole time. And we don't want that. We want to use the same range every time. The only thing that we want to change is this one here, the criteria, because we want to move down through grapes, apples, oranges and bananas. So we want to fix, if we just highlight the top square, the top cell here, so we can copy it down. We want to highlight the first section and press F4 to make it an absolute value of a range, and the same with the final sum range. Press F4, press enter, we should get the same result. But this time when we pull it down, we end up with 66.23, the same as here. So don't fall into that trap. Remember, these absolute values are very, very important. When you're pulling stuff down, if you need to stay with a fixed range, like you have here, and here, and here, then you need to pull this, you need to put the dollar signs in to make the cells absolute. And remember, you can just highlight a fixed number of these cells and press F4, and it will put the dollar signs in for you. And if you highlight it and press F4 again, it will take them away for you. So it's quite fun. Okay, lastly, I just want to show you how to handle an error. We can wrap it around this statement here, this formula. If we quickly just do if ERROR, you can choose it from the function menu, but you can type all of these in as well. It says value and then comma, value if error. So we put double inverted commas and put error. Okay, and then hit enter at the end. Nothing changes. We pull all these down here like this. Nothing changes. But if we wrote the word to in there, we get an error, and things act accordingly after that. Okay, that's how you do an error.